I've never really been a ground blind guy, but this Nukem blind has definitely been changing my mind. And the one hunt that I didn't take it with me is probably a better example of why I should have had it than all the hunts that I did actually take it on. So let's rewind to the NWTF convention in Nashville in February of 2026, which is where I first met Pat, who is the inventor of the Nukem blind. This is it right here. I'm not gonna take it all the way out and deploy it here because it's bigger than my space to record is, but I really like this. Pat sold me on it immediately, although I didn't purchase it immediately. I actually went home and later purchased it on Amazon. I wasn't really in a spending mood at NWTF. I was trying to see all the different things I could find and what I might want for my hunting seasons. And then when I got home, like, that was dumb. I should have bought that on the spot.
You stupid.
So kudos to Pat. He's a really cool dude and he's got a great product here, and I'm thrilled that I bought it for turkey season. I also think it's got some great opportunities for deer season, especially in some specific situations, which I'll get into, of course. What really hooked me on the idea of the Nukem blind, I was watching the Hunting Public videos last year, and Greg was out west hunting, I think it was mule deer, but it could have been whitetail. Doesn't really matter. He was in some pretty open terrain, and he had a couple bushes, and he put a small ground blind thing in front of him, just a couple stakes and like some camo netting, right? And I'm like, man, that's a good idea. Since I moved to Tennessee, I've been hunting more like river bottoms type stuff. And often there's trees there that suck to climb, like are covered in poison ivy, or physically you cannot climb them. When I saw Greg do that, I was like, oh, that's a really good idea. And I priced them out. They aren't horribly expensive things to just go kind of make the setup that Greg had. But then when I met Pat, I was like, oh, this dude has the thing that would work perfectly for that, and for turkey, and for everything else. That was really what pushed me over the edge, because I was already considering something like this, but I didn't know this exact Nukem blind existed. And then when I saw how quickly Pat deployed it, how small it folds up, how it's only 3 pounds, I was like, oh yeah, I need one of those, because my style of hunting is changing that it did in the big woods of Pennsylvania, and I'm trying to adapt to this locations and geography that I now have to work in. And I think this is going to be a substantial addition to my lineup for specifically archery season and probably muzzleloader here in Tennessee. So as I mentioned, it is 3 pounds. It's 32 inches long. I probably should not have taken it out of the case because realistically, there's no reason to have it out in here. That being said, it deploys in under a minute, and honestly, you'll see on the screen here, I actually tend to carry this thing half deployed already, at least on my home property. It saves me some time, it lets me set it up faster and easier in the dark, and probably more importantly, it's still like isn't bulky, even if it's just half deployed. I'm only walking about a quarter mile from my shop here to where I go turkey hunting, usually on my property. So it's pretty easy to just carry this thing in one hand and then get to deploying it real fast from there. But you can see, single shoulder strap makes it super easy to carry. It's very lightweight. It also could strap to a pack. You could lash it to something. If I'm going into a place where I might be saddle hunting or I might need to sit on the ground, 3 more pounds is also not a big deal to make sure I have options available to me and have the best setup that I can have once I get there. One of the things I love the most about this is the leafy pattern that's built in. It's like a leafy vest or a jacket like you would wear, like kind of like a ghillie, but more like a leafy top for like turkey hunting, right? And that pattern and the movement of that really like breaks up your outline well and makes it not look like a big bulky thing. It makes it look camouflaged and like it blends in with the background that you have it against. When I would set this up, I would generally position it slightly to my left side, which is my weak side, so that I could take strong-handed shots without it being in the way at all. And if something was coming from my weak side, it actually gave me some cover to like move that way. More than once I had a hen come in that way, and I would like slowly inch my way around, and it actually in that case was helpful for keeping me concealed because every place I used it was pretty tight, and you could hear a bird before you could see a bird, but you couldn't tell if the bird could see you because it was kind of thick. Really helpful for that, for sure. One other thing I really liked about it is that you're not stuffed inside a box. My problem with traditional ground blinds is that you really can't see what on earth is going on around you other than through the little slits or the little portals, right? This lets you pretty much see everything that's happening. You can hear a lot better. It's also not stuffy, and it still gives you cover as long as you set it up appropriately. You're gonna get cover where you need it most. If you appreciate structured gear reviews like this, where I actually use a product first and don't just give you my initial impressions and then be like, oh, it's great, go buy it, please consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you. I found the Nukem blind worked best when I needed front cover and I had substantial back cover behind me. I don't think against like small skinny trees with nothing big behind you to kind of like add dimension that the Nukem blind probably is the right call there, because it makes a big bulky item where there's not normally a big bulky item in the woods. But You can see here, I've got this old pile of wood by this hunting shed, we call it, hunting cabin. The blind tucks right in front of that really nicely, and basically it's using the volume of a thing that's already there and it's camouflaging me in front of it, which is awesome. That works great for other situations where you're maybe between two trees and you've got limbs hanging over you and you need to kind of like make a blind in there, or other places where you've got like tall grasses behind you and you're going to put it in front of you. I just found that if I put it against like a skinnier tree, it ended up making a giant like kind of like shadowed object, and that did not work as well. I actually had a gobbler bust me. He did come in behind me. I'll give it credit here, but I tucked myself kind of like a I don't know, like a rabbit in a hole backwards into the Nukem blind. I wish I had video of this. And I was sitting there with my gun up and I'm like waiting and waiting and waiting, and he peeked his head like the wrong direction. I couldn't get a shot on him, but he saw like me hunched over in the Nukem triangle with the sun just like creating this huge black shadow on me on his side of the thing. And I was like, he's gone. And sure enough, he wigged right out. And that kind of showed me really experientially, okay, there are situations where it does not make sense to set this thing up. In that spot, I really don't know that I had a better call. Like, at least taught me something about how to deploy this effectively and not just throw it out every time simply because I brought it. The nice thing is, it's light enough and small enough that if you bring it and it doesn't fit wherever you're hunting, you probably barely notice you have it with you, and it's not a big deal to just like put it down to the side and pick it up again when you leave. Just don't forget it, right? All right, so I mentioned that I did not take this on one hunt, and I wished I had. I don't have any footage of that hunt. I didn't really run a camera this year. It was just me solo hunting, and I just wanted to enjoy hunting the couple times that I got out. And one day that I was out on public, I didn't take this. Me and a buddy ended up 30 yards underneath the gobbler. We were in a little bit of open stuff, and he was in a tree in a really thick stuff, and there was private fields on the other side, and the only spot I had to set up, I was wide out in the open with like zero front cover. I had back cover, I had like a lot of shade behind me, and I could have deployed this and it would have fit in well like I was just talking about, but I did not have any front cover. I can't say for sure that that's why that bird didn't come in, but I sat there the whole time going, son of a gun, half a mile away in my truck is that blind. I should have brought it with me. Why didn't I bring it with me? That really sealed the deal with me. Just take it every time. It's not big, it's not bulky, don't be lazy. You don't know what your setup's gonna look like till you're there. Why would you not take it? So looking forward, it's like late spring right now and I'm recording this. You could be watching this at any point, but for me, as I'm thinking through the future, I want this to be my deer hunting blind as well, especially on public land. And I think those bottoms that I've been hunting are gonna really be like, this is gonna be a great spot for it. I actually did some ground setups last year, like literally in thorns and stuff, because it was like good front cover. It sucked, let me tell you. And I know of spots, I can think of like 8 right off the top of my head that are on good deer trails by trees or scrapes where I wouldn't have to set up in the thorns, and I could deploy this and I could bring out like a little light stool, like one of those little camp stools, right? And for maybe 4 pounds, 4.5 at most, I can have a totally like good front cover blind option, sit there on the stool, and if something comes in, I can be raising my bow and shooting or standing if I need to. I really think this is going to work great for that. Stay tuned. I will probably make a video on how it actually works for it. But with the time I got on it this turkey season, I feel pretty confident that I'm not just blowing smoke out my ears here. I think it's going to be a great option for deer season too. If you're a firearms hunting or outdoors brand and you want your products reviewed by someone that actually gets this life, because I'm an enthusiast, there's a link in the description. Click that. You can learn about my review process, and if it makes sense, you can fill out a form and talk to me, and we can see if we should work together for your project. All right, final recap. I've talked a little long here. Sorry about that. I hope you've made it at this point. Who this thing is for: turkey hunters who want front cover and are not afraid to carry a little bit of extra gear around. Guys hunting public land who God knows what you're going to get into, and you might wish you had something in front of you. And I think this makes sense for anyone who's ever felt overexposed on the ground and is in that type of situation I mentioned where you've got good back cover, but just not enough front cover. But if you are a dude who's like ultralight and like, I'm not bringing 1 extra half of an ounce, okay, this is probably not for you. If you're the type of dude that just goes like to the same tree and you just hope the birds come to you, fine. Probably not for you either. And if you're looking for full like 360-degree concealment from like the traditional blind sense, I would say give this a try, but it's hard to say whether you're gonna like it because it is very exposing, which I like, but it's very exposing compared to the traditional ground blind concept. 3 pounds, under a minute to set up. The Nukem blind rocks. I'm so pumped that I bought it. I'm really thankful that I met Pat. I'm excited to run this more in deer season, and I'll let you know how I make out with that. If you want something else to watch right now, the next video you're going to see in just a second is my review on the QU Rival Turkey Vest, which I also ran this year. Newsflash, it's pretty awesome. Go give that a watch. Thanks so much.